We started the video about the cultural dimension low and high context with this cartoon. The ladybug is obviously a representative of a very low context culture. He speaks, but what he's saying does not take into account the information that is available in the room. By carefully observing and mindfully thinking about the other insects at the party, the ladybug's faux pas could probably have been avoided. Our cartoon helps to give us an idea of the cultural dimension of low and high context. But it's about more than just the unspoken information about the conversation partners that is observable in the room. Context also includes all knowledge about the other conversation partners and their backgrounds, as well as all the experience that have already been made together. Maybe we should also look at a phenomenon from the Japanese language. KuukiYomenai is an idiom and can literally be translated in can't read, or more accurately, can't read the air. The idiom refers to a phenomenon in Japanese culture and refers to ignoring social norms and implicit clues. In this sense, the ladybug of our cartoon can be described as a KuukiYomenai. It is often suggested that KuukiYomenai should be translated as reading between the lines. However, this translation only partially meets the intention of the idiom. If something is read between the lines, something is written or said, and that is exactly what is not necessary for good observers and mindful people in high context cultures. Japanese culture is characterized by being decidedly high context, where people are expected to know or recognize even vague or unspoken information signals. For foreigners in Japan, this type of communication almost feels like transfer of information, like telepathy. In highly contextual cultures, gathering information is much more favored than asking for information. On this graph, we can find context on the y-axis, an example increasing from low to high context. On the x-axis, you will find the expression from explicit to implicit. The communication cultures are listed on our graph according to their context and expression. In English, in comparison to German, we already find a often much more indirect form of expression. For example, if you addressed an English lady with an incorrect information asking, you said you're from the United States, from New York, right? A person in Germany would probably answer, no, I'm from Manchester. But the English lady will most likely reply with, actually, I'm from Manchester. She automatically uses a less direct word, which is actually, instead of the word no. No in high context cultures is more likely to be perceived as impolite or as unfriendly. In her essay, 16 Ways to Avoid the Word No in Japan, Keiko Ueda points out that Japanese people are raised to find it impertinent to answer inquiries with a direct no. How can we now define the cultural dimension context? This cultural dimension describes the way communication takes place and how information is given or obtained. Does this happen mainly verbally, an example in words or sentences, or is it is the important information to be found in the environment or the shared experience of the communication partners, or in non-verbal signals such as body language, pauses in speech, pace and volume, or in little hints that are dropped? Communication cultures that tend to primarily rely on the spoken word are considered low contextual cultures, while those in which communication rather takes place primarily through context are considered high contextual cultures. The effects of this cultural dimension lie not only in the area of communication, but also in the area of storing information, or rather what we remember and for how long we remember. In low context cultures, information is absorbed and remembered for a specific purpose and thereafter forgotten. In high context cultures, however, small details are often memorized, stored for a long time. When you meet later, you're expected to remember and refer to these memories in the conversation. That's why people from highly contextual cultures are real information collectors. A conversation, therefore, can be understood as an invitation to think with the speaker. The differences also affect business life and working in different countries and the respective company cultures. You're certainly familiar with the terms delivery and collection obligations. The question behind this is how we get information. In low context corporate cultures, information is normally given. Circulars, the intranet and detailed meeting documents are common, while in high context cultures, employees have to rather actively collect the information they need. To do this, you go out to eat with your colleagues during your lunch break, chat in the employee kitchen, and actively try to gather information yourself. In meetings, it is expected that information has been internalized beforehand. Knowledge of the situation, therefore, goes without saying. In highly contextual cultures, it is often considered important not to hurt others' feelings. Sometimes even more important than giving correct information. It can happen to a person looking for work in Brazil, for example, that acquaintances, friends make one hope for a contact who then doesn't show up at all. It may be that people confirm that you're on the right way to the hotel when in fact this is not the case. When dealing with a Chinese business partner, you may ask about an offer that should have been made yesterday already. You get the answer that the deliveries ordered 2 months ago will arrive tomorrow. With this answer, your Chinese counterpart is saying in a face-saving way that you will receive the offer soon by using another information. If you insist on answering the question about the offer in Chinese context, you would above all show that you lack an important social skill. As people who come from a low contextual culture, as KuukiYomenai, so to speak, we may never learn to read the air, to read from the oxygen. But we take a step forward when we learn to be more attentive and understand what is not being said, and probably even why something is not being said. On YouTube, you can find thematically related videos on the topic of culture and communication. And in your seminar, you will find exercises on direct and indirect communication. In these exercises, in particular, you will see many learning opportunities. An example, room for improvement we have in the area of communication. As people socialized in Germany or other countries with a tendency towards rather a low context culture. However, also people socialized in rather highly contextual cultures can learn. They can learn how to deal with direct communication, how to express oneself in a low context culture. On YouTube, I encourage you to leave your remarks in the comments and to like and of course to subscribe. Thank you for your valued cooperation and feedback on the seminar on the online learning platforms.